anything for the lighthouse. Lord, I owe my life to Him. You see, Jesus is the lighthouse. And from the rock to sin, and shone His light of love around me. And I really see just what it wasn't for the lighthouse. Tell me where would my defeat? Book of Judges, chapter 6. We are still dealing with inferiority, low self-esteem in the life of Gideon. May God bless the reading of His word. The last we spoke on this, we were given an example of how to push past your fears. You may be afraid, but yet you still tremblings within, but fightings without. And we see that Gideon did just that. He was instructed by God to tear down the idols and the groves in his father's house. And though he feared his father's house, he still did. He went by night and took 10 men with him, and he destroyed the idols and the groves and the high places. God gives us a word sometimes to test our faith. He doesn't tempt us with evil, but He will allow our faith and integrity to be tried. And as you overcome one obstacle in life, God will allow you to go through testing so that you can see where you stand. And if indeed you have really made progress in that situation. Gideon had saw the angel of the Lord, and he asked the angel to give him a sign, and the angel did just that. And that encouraged Gideon to go forth to the next level. But now, once you have decided to face your fears, once you have decided you will no longer hang your head down, once you have decided you will no longer be judged by the opinions of others when you're trying to do right, you're going to try your best to rebuke and overcome spirits that come to put you down and to oppress you. And even though you may not have had a good, understanding of yourself, or you may not have thought much about yourself, but now you're learning to appreciate what God has done for you, and you understand that you are important to God and that you matter. So you decide to not allow your mind to be troubled by spirits, or you decide not to walk in depression states or allow the enemy to oppress you. You're beginning to rebuke all these negative and oppressive thoughts that come upon your head. And you have made in your heart and mind that I'm going to break this thing. I'm not going to be inferior. I'm going to lean and trust in the power of God and obey His voice. And right when you begin to show fruit meant for repentance, and I want you to understand this, right when you decide, hey, I'm going all the way, you must understand the enemy's not through yet. Everybody's not going to appreciate your change. Everybody's not going to think that your change is of God. As a matter of fact, you really don't know where people stand with you until you start making a stand for God. And then you'll find out that in your own home, in your own surroundings, that were your biggest enemies. But you will not ever know this until you begin to break the influence of the environment around you. Sometimes the environment can hold you down because of the people that are involved and the spirits that come with it. If you connect with a quarrelsome man, Scripture says you become argumentative. If the blind lead the blind, you're all falling into the ditch. And when Gideon pushed past his fears, he was met with haters. Those who did not appreciate his change. This is why I always tell you, before you ask someone's opinion of what they think about you, be sure you have a good understanding of where you stand yourself. Because you've got some people that will tell you the worst. You could be the best, but they're not looking for the best for you. There are some people and some spirits that will not be satisfied until you are no more. Sometimes when the Spirit of God is upon you, we can vex those that are moving after the flesh. Stephen, the first martyr, he preached with so much wisdom that the Jews could not stand his voice and the wisdom that he spoke. And they killed him. Sometimes it turns away wrath, but when the Spirit of God is upon you, it stirs up demons. So now here it is, Gideon, he's pushed past his fears. But in the morning, he found out that everybody's not all rejoicing when you have decided to follow God. So what you're going to do now is that you're pushing past your fears and you're trying to overcome your inferiorities. God's going to allow you to be tested to see if you're willing to keep that stand and to stand where he has now put you. He's going to see if you're going to turn back or you're going to allow, like you used to, the opinion of others to affect you in a wrong way. And Judges 6, verse 28 says this, read quickly.
And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it. And the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. And they said one to another, who have done this thing? And then when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, have done this thing. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, bring out thy son, that he may die, because he hath cast down the altar of Baal.
People are going to rise up against you when you start making a holy stand. Amen. When they're so used to you being down with your head bowed down, and they're so used to walking on you or so used to seeing you at the bottom of the totem pole, and all of a sudden you decide you're no longer going to be put down. You're no longer are going to walk with inferiority. You're no longer going to be oppressed. You're no longer going to just accept anything, but you're going to realize, amen, and believe that God has a work for you to do, or that God has his hand up on you, and you decide that your life is worth something. When you stand up, you'll be surprised how many people are going to try to put you back down. See, what God would do, see, you just can't tell the Lord anything. If you say, God, I'm feeling it, I'm getting somewhere. He said, well, let's put it to the test. Let it be known that you're getting somewhere. Don't hide it. Let everybody know that you have decided to follow me. Let your good works be seen. Tear down these groves and these altars, and in the morning, everybody's going to know somebody's changing things around here. See, if you're really making a change, then somebody's going to notice it. I feel a virtue. You can't say, I'm making progress, but there's no progress seen in your fruits or in your actions. So now, Gideon had to show forth that he had fruits meant for repentance and obedience. He tore it all down, and he made it so plain. You got to make up in your mind. It's got to be so simple that everybody knows now that for God you live and for God you die. It's got to be so plain and so simple that everybody sees that you are making a change for the better. Or you're so happy about this. You feel so good about it. And here come the haters. Here come the people that walk after the flesh. They persecute them that are after the spirit. All these men are children of Israel. They're supposed to be the children of the Most High God. But here's one boy who decided to stand up for God and tear down the idols and come out of his hiding and let God's light shine upon him. And people of the same place, same people who should be serving the same God, discourages them. You got those in the church that walk after the spirit, and you got those in the congregation that walk after the flesh. Them that walk after the flesh will persecute them that walk after the spirit. The Bible says if you're living right and people come against you, it's because the glory of God is upon you and the flesh cries out. And they'll strike out because the spirit and the flesh doesn't agree. Because when you're walking in the spirit, then that spirit of God upon you and the life you live in goes completely against those that walk in the flesh. And the flesh doesn't want to repent, it cries out. And they said, who did this? Come to church, know you're not right, the word of God catch you where you're living. Then you get around your church friends. Who told Bishop? We just had that conversation. Who told Bishop? Which one of you? Listen, we walked in the building at the same time. Instead of saying, oh my God, let's repent. You want to know who's messing with your sin. Who's interrupting your fleshly program? Full of virtue. Who tore down our groves and idols of Baal? Well, we got a brother here who's no longer in hiding. He no longer wants to be inferior to the enemy. And he's decided to come out and let God be. You made up your mind. You ever been there? Had a good prayer. You're going to be strong. You're going to do what's right. And you get around some saints. Some might be in the church longer than you, or some you thought were spiritual. Anyway, people that you might have feared a little bit, respected or whatever. And you think that, oh my God, I'm really going to be strong. And all of a sudden they come with a very negative spirit. And the trembles come back. And when you go home, you start talking about what you should have, what you would have done. And you know what I said? I said, brother, my life is changing. I'm not going to be moved by that. I love you, but your spirit's not right. Is that what you told him? No, but that's what I was thinking about telling him. I mean, I'm just saying that's what I was going to say. But you got caught off guard. Now you feel bad because you've been praying on, I feel a virtue. I'm feeling a virtue because you've been praying to ask God to heal, ask God to strengthen. And as soon as you feel good about it, here comes the folks saying who destroyed our idols. You have people coming against you. Everybody's not going to rejoice when you rejoice. You need to understand that God is trying to teach Gideon that when you want to make a change and overcome inferiority and overcome doubt and overcome unbelief and overcome the sins that easily beset you, you got to be willing to make up in your mind to walk it if nobody else will. You have to be determined that you're going to make this change in your life. If no one else encourages you, you're doing it because of you and God. You got to learn to stop allowing the emotions and the minds and the thoughts of people that are against God or against the way of God to influence you. Even if it means you're the only one standing. All the elders came and said, who did this? One Gideon said, see, he stood back. He was learning. Man, I'm learning. They all can be wrong. And what good is the majority if the majority is wrong? Well, everybody said it. Everybody believes it, but everybody can be wrong. So when you make up in your mind to change and to no longer allow yourself to be oppressed by the enemy, you've got to be sure your mind is made up because you're going to be trying to see if other things can influence you. And when you learn not to be influenced by the negative things or the evil things that are around you, then you can begin to go somewhere. And so now Gideon, the men of the city wanted to kill him, but his dad spoke up. Read.
And Joash said unto all that stood against him, will ye plead for Baal? Will ye save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death while it is yet morning. If he be a god, let him plead for himself, because one hath cast down his altar. Therefore on that day he called him Jeroboam, saying, let Baal plead against him, because he hath thrown down his altar.
Now his father has to speak up. See, sometimes when you make a righteous stand, you would encourage somebody else to stand. Sometimes when you refuse to give in to inferiority and low self-esteem, you encourage somebody else to stand up. And so these men came and said, now we want to destroy him. We don't appreciate his change. We don't like his change. And everybody's not going to like your change. Everybody's not going to wish the best for you. But now, either his father is going to let them kill his son over a false god, or he's going to stand up. God will put you in situations whereby you're going to have to choose.
That's right.
Either you're going to choose the world, either you're going to choose Satan, or you're going to choose God. And many times that situation comes whereby you have to make a decision right then and right now. Now, Gideon's father had to speak up. I feel the virtue. See, God will put you in a predicament whereby he'll try your heart. He said, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. There's no in between. Either you want him or you don't. Either you're going to do it right or you're not. Gideon's father stands up and says, let Baal plead for himself. If he be Baal, let him plead for himself. Or maybe you should die for worshiping Baal. But let Baal plead for himself. They came and saw what Gideon had done, and they said, we want to kill him, destroy him. Why would you want to destroy somebody for striving to do what's right? But there are people like that. There are spirits like that. That's why when you decide to walk in strength, you have to make up in your mind that you're going to walk that straight and narrow path and you're not going to turn off of it. Understanding that everybody is not going to be happy because you want to better yourself. So what was Joash saying? What was his father really saying? You got a lot of people that are very opinionated. And they specialize in your life. They're good at telling you what you're not, where you fall short, and what you could have done, what you should have been, and all this good stuff. But like Joash said, in other words, sometimes you need to sit around and tell all the critics, why don't you eat your own food? Instead of feeding to me, why don't you eat it and let me watch and see how edifying it is for you? You got all these opinions, you have all these thoughts, you got all these ideas, you got all these criticisms. Well, let's see how well you can live based on your own words. And you'd be surprised how many people change their diet. If you don't want to eat your cooking, don't give it to me. I feel a virtue. You understand what I'm saying? You got a lot of people that are good at giving advice. I mean, sometimes the advice is all right, but they don't get anywhere. Because they never learned to walk in any wisdom. You got a lot of people that got good eyesight. They can see, but they don't have the strength to apply what they see. Jesus said the Pharisees, they took the place of Moses. He said, do like they say. He said, but don't follow them. He's a smart man. She's a smart woman. But how was that wisdom applied in their own life? So now, you're pushing past your fears because you're tired of feeling inferior. You're tired of feeling oppressed by the enemy. So you decide you're going all the way. Fears within, but fighting without. And then here comes people, amen, trying to discourage you from making that change. They're telling you, oh, you're going to hurt yourself if you try to go forward. No, this is not the way to be. You acting funny, but while you were down in the dumps, while you were being burdened down, while you were fighting anxiety, while you were going through all type of inferiority and emotional distress, you were all right. Beware the person that loves to see you in your misery. I feel the virtue. Understand what I'm saying? Job's friends came and they just sat there and looked at him for days, didn't even speak. And then everything they said was what he didn't do or should have done. And none of it was right. None of it was right. And so Gideon was faced right when he made a stand. Here come people trying to discourage him. Right when you decide to do the right thing, the enemy will come and try to discourage you. But he stood his ground. He encouraged his father to stand up and to stand with him. Read.
Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Eleazar was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him, and he sent messengers into Asher, and to Zebulun, and to Naphtali, and they came up to meet him. And Gideon said to God...
Now watch this. Gideon just passed a test. He saw that the angel of God was real. He pushed past his fears. He started showing obedience to the word of God. He stood up against the critics. He refused to change his mind. Now he's getting closer to God. Now, verse 33 says the enemy comes up. See, God has perfect timing. And he will not allow you to suffer more than you can bear. But with every trial and temptation, he will allow you a way to escape. And he said you'll reap in due season if you're what? Sometimes you faint a little bit too quick before you see the hand of God. And you may claim, I'm very strong. Oh, I'm strong. I can take a lot. But he that faints in the time of the adversary is weak in strength. When you faint in the time of trouble, you're not strong at all. But look at verse 33 and 34. Then all of the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. Now all the enemy gathered around to attack Israel. God sees you. And he knows where you're at. His hand is not too short that he cannot save, and he will not leave nor forsake you. And sometimes you don't have to call upon him because he will be there right on time because he sees you. All the enemy gathered together and they moved upon the children of Israel. The next scripture says, but the Spirit of God moved upon Gideon. God saw them devils coming, so he moved upon Gideon to be prepared. When the enemy rushes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will raise up a stand against it. When that devil thinks he's got you, God can see it, and the Holy Ghost will move in and prepare you for battle. The Holy Ghost will come in and prepare you to make a stand. God even said when they take you and persecute you before the magistrates and the judges, he said, don't even think about what you're going to say. He said, I'll word your mouth. The Amalekites came in, but the Spirit of God moved upon Gideon. And he said, gather the people. Blow a trumpet. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon. I can imagine what kind of sound that was. It was an anointed sound. Blow the trumpet, the Holy Ghost said. When the enemy comes in, attacks your mind, look for the Spirit of God to come upon you and tell you what to do. And he blew the trumpet and he sent forth messengers throughout all. And he sent for them. But because you are making progress, you're feeling good about yourself. You're overcoming obstacles and you're overcoming fears. It doesn't mean that you're completely delivered yet. You see, God wants to be sure that you are sure that you are doing what God wants you to do and that you're walking in the will of God. After tearing down the idols and the groves, withstanding the evil elders, seeing the enemy coming, he's blowing the trumpet, he saw the angel. Gideon still wasn't quite sure. How many of you still are not quite sure? Now God has blessed you. You see a change. You can feel something taking place in you, but you're not quite there yet, and you know it. I feel the virtue. You're not quite sure that you're in his perfect will. I feel the virtue. Everything looks good. You can see a change. Well, you know, I've seen a change in my life, and a lot of things this has helped me, and this has helped me, but that don't mean you're in God's perfect will. You have to wait and see the end of the matter. See, God has used a lot of things to bring a change about. But that doesn't mean that's where he wants it to stop. That doesn't mean your change is complete. And so Gideon said, okay, now the Spirit of God just moved upon me. He blew the trumpet, and he felt pretty good, but now here it goes again. Sometimes we have to keep going over it over and over again to get rid of every doubt. He goes back in prayer, son, and he says, Lord, if you really, read that about the fleece. He said, Lord, if you really want me to, read it.
And verse 36, and Gideon said unto God, if thou wilt save Israel by my hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by my hand, as thou hast said. And it was so, for he rose up early on the morrow, and thrust the fleece together, and wringed the dew out of the fleece in a bowl full of water. And Gideon said to God, let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me prove, I pray thee. But this once with the fleece, let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. And God did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground.
Gideon was still nervous. You're going to make major decisions in your life. You don't want to ever make a major decision without complete confidence and confirmation that it is God's will. You don't ever want to do that. You make a major decision in life, and deep down in your heart, you've got doubt. Whatsoever is not of faith is sin. You're building on a foundation that's not strong. Gideon knew that he still needed help. Don't ever take it for granted that everybody's all right because this has happened. They've been blessed with this. They've been blessed with that. Oh, son, so they say everything is all right. Don't take that for granted. Doesn't mean that everything is all right. Everything is not all right till it's all right deep down in their heart. And they know and say without a shadow of a doubt that they believe that God. And they would have the fruits of it. Gideon said, Lord, I'm going to take this fleece, piece of material, I'm going to put it on the ground. Now in the morning, I want the whole ground to be wet, but I want this fleece to be dry. Got up and it was so. He said, Lord, I'm not trying to be funny, but I believe and help my unbelief. I'm going to take this fleece and put it down. This time, let it be wet and the ground dry. And God did it. Believe not every spirit, but try the spirit to see if it be of God or not? How many times have you felt it and you knew it was God, but it wasn't? Oh, I've been there. How about you? You knew it was God. Everything, you put all the puzzles together. Got to be God, but it wasn't. You got to have sure confirmation. And God will do all he can to let you know that it's his will or that it is not his will. But you got to be willing to yield to the wisdom of God. Gideon tried God again. This is the third time he fleeced God. The first time he wanted the angels to show forth. They brought fire on the rock. Now these 2 times he came to God again. 3 is the number of deliverance. It's the number of witness. Out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. And when you're making any major decisions in your life, you should look for true witnesses. You can say you've been delivered. I no longer feel inferior. I no longer have low self-esteem. But you can't safely say that until you be tried and tested in that area. To see if you've made progress. To see if you have obtained strength or not. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself going around in the same old circle. Making the same old mistakes. Gideon wanted to know, before I go out and fight all these men, I feel a virtue. Before I go out and fight all these men, I need to know that God is with me. Before I put myself in this position, I need to know that God is with me. Before I make a stand, I stand against my enemies, stand against spirits that come to oppress me. Before I make up in my mind that no longer will I feel inferior, no longer will I give in to low self-esteem or be oppressed, but I'm going to stand up and I'm going to face my fears. I got to be sure that I'm in God's will. Because if you make a full stand in the wrong way and it doesn't work, you can get hit so hard you find it hard to recover. Because you lied to yourself. You just thought it was right. You thought you were in God's will, but you didn't try the spirit. You didn't prove the situation. You didn't prove it. And so you built a foundation on something that was not sure. And then you say, God, I tried to stand, but you let me down. God said, you stood, but not with me. Prove all things. Prove all things. And hold fast to that which is good. Gideon, the Spirit of God just came upon him and he blew a trumpet. He felt the Holy Ghost. But he still wasn't settled in here. How many? I feel a virtue. Now you understand how some of you can feel the presence of God in service and you walk out still fighting a little doubt because you felt the presence, but yet the chain hadn't completed. So don't mistake a feeling for deliverance. Don't mistake emotions for the power. You understand what I'm saying? Now the scripture said the Spirit of God came upon him. I knew I felt the Holy Ghost. You did feel the Holy Ghost. But that's what you did. You just felt the Holy Ghost. You didn't allow him to penetrate and make that change. You felt the Spirit of God. Why did I feel him there? To encourage you to keep pushing. So Gideon said, listen, I'm going to be honest. He said, son, I'm going to be honest. I'm tired of faking. I'm tired of faking. I'm tired of living a lie. I'm tired of putting on a fake mask. Acting like I'm this and that. I know deep down inside there's hell and turmoil going inside of me. My mind is constantly in a chaotic state. I'm tired. You ever came a point in your life when you said, I'm going to take this thing serious. I'm not going to just give in to anything anymore. But I want to be real. And I want everything around me to be real. Gideon said, I'm not going to fake it. Yes, I saw the angel. Yes, I tore down the idol. Yes, the Spirit of God came upon me and I blew the trumpet. And I know everybody saying, Gideon, you got it going on. But in my heart, I still need a little help. You got to be honest with yourself. In my heart, I still need a little encouragement. Because I'm tired of feeling out of every wind of doctrine and everything that comes my way. I'm tired of faking, but I want to be real and righteous. So I'm going to tell the truth. I still need a little help. God, please, do this for me. And you know what God says? I'll do it. You really want to know? I'll do it. You really want to change? I'll do whatever it takes to convince you and let you know which way is right and how to overcome the things that bother you. And God did it. Now this is the third time he asked the Lord to show him. Now let's close with this, verse 7. Chapter 7, read.
Then Jerubbaal, who was Gideon, and all the people that were with him, rose up early and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them, by the hill of Moreh in the valley. And the Lord said to Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand have saved me. Now therefore go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned of the people 22,000, and there remained 10,000. And the Lord said to Gideon, the people are yet too many. Bring them down into the water, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee, the same shall go with thee. And whomsoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. So he brought down the people into the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, every one that lappeth of the water with his tongue, as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, every one that bowed down upon his knees to drink. And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water.
Now, his name was Gideon, but they called him Jerubbaal because they said, let Baal contend against you. People will get upset with you, and they call you all kinds of names. But see, you can change my name, but you can't change my heart. You can call me what you want, but you can't change God, my love for God. They changed the name, but we talk about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These were Hebrew boys, but they changed, the friends of Daniel, but they changed their names and gave them Babylonian names. But though they changed their name, they didn't change their hearts. And they didn't change their love for God. Although you may go through a situation, praise God, that situation, you should not allow it to change your heart. Or it may change the name a little bit. You may have it may not look so pretty, but in the end, you're going to come out sad because it didn't change your love for God. You were determined to hold on. So don't allow people's words to alter your heart. Don't allow people's words to discourage you. And the thing they may say or may say about you, you must stand strong in God if you mean business with God. Now this is what God did. After he showed the fleece, Gideon was a little encouraged. You see, my God, Jesus said, my Father worked so far, then I work. I work so far, then my Father works. We work so far, then Jesus works. We go a little further, then Jesus works. Now he's gradually taking Gideon through the pathway of deliverance. Now Gideon has been encouraged once again. When you've been encouraged, then do something with that encouragement. Just don't sit there. Make a move toward going forward. Make a move toward strengthening yourself. Now God says this is what we're going to do now. I'm teaching you how to overcome inferiority and low self-esteem. First of all, you got to face it and acknowledge it, and then you have to face your fears and learn to be obedient that you may come out and humble yourself. You cannot allow yourself to be self-exalted because that'll bring you down. But now he says this, it's time to get ready to go to battle. He blew the trumpet. Some 30,000 people came, and God said, what you doing, Gideon? He said, I'm about to fight the battle, but you got too many people. You got to understand, if you want me to bring you out, then you got to learn to lean on me and not anybody else. You got to learn to trust me and not lean upon the arm of flesh. Because it's not by might nor by and I'm going to win the war, then they will say we did it. No flesh shall glory in the presence of God. No flesh will glory in God's presence. If you do anything to help anybody, you want to be sure that God gets the glory. You don't want yourself to come forth as a savior of anything. And when you've done all you can do, you say, it is my reasonable service. The Holy Ghost said, you need to be careful. And those of you that are strong, be careful when you try to get people to lean upon you, because you see their weakness and you think if they lean upon you, you can possess them and overpower them. But I'm telling you, when they get a hold of God, it's not going to last. Because you're not going to last. I feel a virtue. Never take advantage of people's emotions. Use your strength to strengthen them and to help them. When you get people to lean on you, and listen, and I've been married a long time, when you get people to lean on you, I've dealt with a lot of situations, and you think you got them because they're vulnerable. A lot of times, you can present yourself as a crutch, filling in a gap. And people will grab to you because of what you can do. That ain't love. Whoever can fit that description of that need, that person's going to hold on to. Whoever can do it. My mother, bless her heart, she's in heaven now. She got born again, but before she was born again, she was married several times. I'll never forget. I heard her saying to one of my stepdads, they separated. Mama was a young mama. She said, I told you to buy me a house. I'll marry you. I got the house. When you're looking for people to lean on you or you take advantage of that, that's not good. Because the minute they get strength, they're going to see the snare you set. Oh, it looks like it's good, but it's not. Because it's taking advantage of weakness. I feel a virtue. You understand? And see, sometimes I talk to you, some of you sisters sometimes, and I had to teach this to some of my daughters, this and that. A lot of times you're a strong woman. Sometimes you don't want a man whereby you can feel the weight of his strength. But if you know, you listen to me long enough, if the man's a good man and he's solid, you don't want a man that you think you can dominate so weak. Because if he's weak at home, do I have to say more? He's going to be weak in the streets. And don't you think, sisters, don't you think, I got him. Sometimes you have people that cleave to you because they need to. Not in righteousness, but for their own personal sake. And they can be just as easygoing and passive. I'll never forget, a friend once told me she had a friend who was dating a fireman. And he's got a wife too. But boy, she just rules that fireman. Whatever she says, he does. I said, sister, don't you buy that. But he just does whatever she says. Tell her to leave him. She came back to me and said, boy, that fireman was crazy. She tried to leave. He said, she said, Bishop, how did you know the fireman was crazy? Because when you think you're dominating, sometimes you're feeding people's passion. And that's what they want. But you don't ever want to be a crutch for someone. Only that, and there's no real love and mutual understanding. I feel a virtue. I must understand who you are. You must understand who I am. You must be able to understand that. And what I tell you all, if you can't strengthen your partner or your partner can't balance you all, something's wrong with that picture. In the time of trouble, you're going to be in time of need. You're going to be in great trouble. You don't ever want to just lean. Now, don't get me wrong. Husbands and wives, you got to trust each other. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking to righteousness. It's all right to lean and trust on that which you know is real. Because it's not going to do you wrong. But if you just need somebody to fill in the gap, because you need somebody to fill in that gap, that's no good. You're only using people. And y'all know I tell you that all the time. But let me close with this. This is what God did to Gideon. He got all the army together. Are you listening? Now, If you want to change your life, you want to get away from the inferiority, from the oppressed, sometimes you have to change the company you keep. Now, start looking, now that you're feeling that big move, start examining the people you're hanging around. God said you got too many people, or you got a crowd, but examine that crowd. Because it's easy to hide in a crowd. But when you start breaking that thing down, you find out what you're dealing with. God said, tell everybody that's afraid to go home. Say what? Everybody, but they're here, because if that don't mean they're with you. Ah! Hey, because y'all here don't mean you're with me. Ah! Straight up, straight down. Everybody that's afraid, go home. 20,000 people got up and said, I'm out of here. It's easy to hide in the crowd. Analyze those that are around you. Because see, that fear in the midst of the heat of the battle, those that fear spread like a disease would have destroyed the whole thing. You don't want to be around people that will hinder you. Though they're standing with you, but yet they will hinder you because their hearts are not there. Examine, son. Examine those that are around you. You need a strong circle of influence if you're going to push forward. Surround yourself with those that have you in mind and heart in righteousness. Those that too want to come forth. If you keep on surrounding yourself by those that are constantly putting you down, those that are negative, how are you going to be encouraged? Well, now Gideon's feeling pretty good now. God says, now, before you go to battle, son, examine your crowd. 20,000 people had to go. He said, now, take the rest and tell them to go down to the water banks and get down and lap water like a dog. 300 did it correctly. God said, let the rest go. 300 men, the power of God within Gideon. That's how you're going to win. 3 is the number of deliverance, the number of witness. Listen, you want to witness to everybody that hangs around you. I want to know. If you're going to be around me, then I want to know what you are, who you are, where you stand. Because I don't want to get to leaning and trusting in you. And right when I make that final move, you're my biggest interest. Because I didn't examine how many people have been wounded by their closest friends, loved ones, because what? You examined everything. You put everything, you analyzed everything around you, but that which was close to you. Have you not read? Jesus said, I come to send a sword. A man's enemy shall be there of his own what? God had Gideon, and I'm telling you, in your adventure or in your procedures of building up your self-esteem, evaluate your circle of influence. Evaluate the people that you're around. Sometimes you just have to change company. No longer walk that way. Hey, how you doing? I feel a virtue. Now God said you're ready. And listen, it was the Lord that told him to do that. God, you know my friends, my family. You see what I'm doing. Lord, show me the people that I'm surrounded by. Because, Lord, I'm going all the way. I don't want to be surrounded by Judas. Get ready to cross the finishing line, and the person right next to me is the one who's going to trip me up. And I've been running with him all this time because I didn't analyze him. You see deeper than me. The Bible says, know them that what? That labor among you. I want to know. Get in, analyze your crowd. Because you've come so far now. You're on your way to deliverance. You want to make sure that there's nothing by your side that's going to bring you down. And if God is in something, then you shouldn't mind it being tried.
That's right. That's right.
Because you want God's will.
Amen.
I feel a virtue.
Yes, Lord.
It shouldn't bother you.
That's right.
Because you want God's will. Now, after God tested Gideon's obedience and taught him not to lean on flesh. You see, young people, you may have a best friend that might be into something that you know is not right. There's going to come a point in time when you're going to have to break that peer pressure and tell that best friend, hey, I can't walk that way. Can't do it. God will give you the strength. Because you don't ever want anything negative to influence you, have more influence over you than that which is right. And people, to whatever you yield your members to, that's your God. This is what the scripture says. If you yield yourself to addiction, addiction is your God. If you yield yourself to a bad attitude, a wrongful spirit, that's your God. Whatever you put first and yield your members to, that's who you serve. Now, I'm going to close with this. Gideon fleeced the Lord 3 times. The angel and the rock, 2 times with the fleece. And as he was convinced, he made power moves to go forward. When God sees that you're on your way, then he steps in. But see, there was 4 witnesses that Gideon had, 4. But the 4th one, Gideon didn't ask for. The 4th witness, God came to Gideon. Because he saw Gideon was doing good, but he saw that he just needed that extra push. When God sees that you're really trying, he'll give you that extra push. Then he'll step in because he knows you mean business now. He told Abraham, I want you to take your son up there. I want you to sacrifice him. You and Sarah's only boy. Abraham got the wood and he got his boy and they were walking. He told everybody to stay here. He said, me and my son going up. Though he was going to sacrifice the boy. He said, but me and my son were coming back. And as they were walking, the boy said, Isaac said, Dad, I see the wood. And we're building the altar, but where is the sacrifice? Abraham didn't say anything. Now that had to have been a good boy, because Abraham was an old man. When Abraham built that altar, told the boy to turn around. He didn't even fight his dad. Tied him down, put him on that altar, picked up that knife and went to sacrifice him, and he heard the voice of God say, don't do it. Now I know that there's nothing Abraham won't do. That's when God steps in, when he sees that faith is in your heart now. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. When he sees evidence of your faith, then he steps in to make sure you win that race. And there was a ram in the bush. God saw evidence of faith in Gideon's heart, that Gideon was going to go for it. So God just wanted to give him that extra boost. The 4th time, God stepped up and said, Gideon, go down to the enemy's camp. He said, if there's still just a little bit of fear in you, take your servant with you. God said, go down. Gideon snuck down. And son, he went behind all the tents. He went behind this one particular tent. God got perfect timing. And he heard 2 of the Midianites talking. One of them got up and said, I had a dream. A big tumbleweed came in and knocked down all of our tents. Now they don't know Gideon. Then the other man said, that dream is the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash. That's the sword of Gideon and the Lord. And the enemy said, their God has delivered us into their hands. In other words, we better not fight this battle. That dream means we're not going to win. This Gideon guy is going to get us. Now Gideon's on the other side listening. Bible says he ran back and he got all the people together and he said, the battle is ours. The battle is ours. I finally got my breakthrough. I overcome. No longer will I feel inferior. No longer will I be afraid. God has convinced me that I can do all things through Christ Jesus that is good to me. He has convinced me I don't longer have to be the tail, but I can be the head. God has convinced me that I can go through anything and come out standing strong. Blow the trumpet, what? Confess that you're coming out. And with their confessions, follow through will come a confirmation. And Gideon won. He told everybody, follow me. Do as I do. And you know what's so strange about that, preacher? Gideon ended up saying, do like I do. Follow me. Whatever I say, you do it. When I say blow, you blow. But before that, when the angels of the Lord called him to go to battle, that same man said, why are you talking to me? Who am I? I'm the least in the kingdom. My father, I can't do it. If we're so mighty, why am I hiding like everybody else? The same man. Now he's saying, follow me. Whatever you see me do, you do. What am I trying to say? When you really get delivered, when you really made a change, your speech changes.
That's right.
You talk different. Huh? Because from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. The same man that was saying, I'm high like the rest. Well, how do you expect me to do this? Now he's saying, follow me. Because that's been a change made where? In the heart. Now he was ready. And he won that battle. And they cried out, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. He wasn't ashamed to put his name out there before the Lord. And it wasn't because of pride, but it was because he was delivered from inferiority. He was delivered from low self-esteem. And he realized that his life meant something. He realized that he was important to God. And he stood. He was speaking because of his relationship with God. Follow me, why is that? Because he knew now that he was following God. He had the confidence that God had put in him. God has showed him that he was with him. And when you know that God is with you, you too can do all things but fail. Give a little hand for God. Why don't you come to Jesus right now? He knows that you're tired of trying to bear all your burdens alone. I'm tired of running, Lord. I'm tired of being pushed around. Lift up your head. I'm tired of being made to feel as though I'm not worth anything. I'm tired of it. Show me my work. Help me to stand. Not for vengeance, but help me to walk as I should in your eyes. I'm tired of living a life. Help me to take the mask off. Purge my heart. If there's anything that's not right, help me to let it go. Don't allow the pains of the past to cause me to be vengeful. But help me to overcome evil with good. Come out of this darkness and let me walk into the light, putting my past behind and not allow them to talk with me anymore. I don't care what people say. I'm going to walk upright. I'm going to make that change. I'm going to walk in strength. I'm tired of having my head bowed down. No more! No more!
Come to Jesus right now.
Sing it, brother.
You know there are some people who come to Jesus in the wrong way. In the wrong way. Saints and they are making right mistakes.
What's wrong with you, Larry? Nothing wrong with me, but don't talk to me that way anymore.
But it's still true.
You're not going to talk to me that way anymore.
Jesus Christ.
You're not going to push me around anymore. I'm not going to sit there and let you put me down anymore. Because I know now that in God's eyes, my life is worth something. I know my life is worth something now. I'm not going to feel inferior anymore. I'm not going to be afraid to try anymore. If I fall, I'll get up and I'll keep trying. Because I know now that God is with me. I refuse to be afraid to go forward. I refuse to be afraid of the opinions of others. But I will stand by myself. If you don't want to change, I still have to take the opinion.
Come to Jesus.
Let the Lord give you peace of mind.
Come to Jesus.
Oh, won't you come?
Come to Jesus.
Let the Lord come.
Come to Jesus.
On the time of going through the same old thing.
Come to Jesus.
Lord, I don't want to go back in the circle anymore.
Come to Jesus.
If you're not going to be real with me, leave me alone. Because I made up in my mind. I made up in my mind.
Come to Jesus.
I'm going all the way. I don't have time to wait anymore.
Come to Jesus.
I've learned that my life is important. God has taught me that my life is worth living. And I believe
to Jesus.
why don't you come?
Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus.
Life is not a game, people. Neither are the hearts of men. And many of us have lived long enough to know that sometimes people will take your heart and rip it every which way but loose. But there comes a time in life when we want to make things sure. We want to make sure that we're right with God and that we're making the right decision. Not based on emotions, not based on situation, but based on divine facts, confirmations from God. Confirmations from God. Love is a powerful tool, but it's no good if it destroys you. If it's not edifying, it's no good. But the real love of God casts out all fear. You want to hold on to nothing more than you hold on to Christ and His will. Because He will never let you down. We, people, we may let you down. Not always, but a lot of times we will. But Christ never. There are some people that won't let you down, but they're hard to find. That's why we lean upon Christ. And we cleave to those that follow him. All I want is your will, Lord. Help me to stand as a man and as a woman, the way I should. As a young person, the way I should. That you may get the glory. Make sure I surround myself with those that want my good will and those that love me. Help me to take life serious. Help me to take the life of others serious. In Jesus' name, the church, amen. Give a little hand for me. God bless you. Go ahead and praise this song. Before we take the offering of God, there is my spirit goes forth and I feel virtue. But some of you are hiding today. You're holding back your emotions. I don't know what the word has done or didn't do. But if you're covering and hiding, make sure it's not the truth that you're suppressing. You want God's will. You don't want to hold on to the altars of Baal, but you want God's will. Trust God. Don't try to figure him out because you're missing. If you want something, people, that is real, then put it in his hands. If you want God to guide you, put it in his hands because you want what's real. You'll be surprised. I'll never forget in St. Louis, I tried out for a baseball team when I was 13. And I had low self-esteem, and I was moving kind of slow, though I could play ball pretty good. But when it came time to try for the team, man, I was moving slow, getting down, catching the ball, and I never came back. They wasn't going to choose me no way. Then next year, son, I met one of the players. They said, Larry Bryant, what happened to you? I said, what do you mean? They said, we were first place. Who were? The Cougars. We were first place. I said, what's that got to do with me? They said, the coach asked for you by name. They said, where's that Larry Bryant kid? I saw he had great potential. But in my mind, my inferiority said they're not going to coach. I'm saying it to say, give God a chance. Don't destroy yourself in your own mind. Don't put yourself off the team. Go back to the trial and see if maybe your name will be called. But don't defeat yourself before you get started. I feel a virtue. Lord, I was so shocked. I was so surprised. Now I can play, but I was no good that day. But the old coach saw something. He probably saw I was in a shell. They just had to bring him out. I went to a batting cage one time with a brother, young guy, and I kept missing the ball. And I heard the guy say, young guy say, God, what team is he on? What team is he on? But I was a grand slam hitter. But I kept missing that fastball. But whenever we would play, I was a knocker. I knocked the ball apart. And as I got older, I found out I wasn't that bad. You know why I kept missing the balls, grandson? Because all those times I was swinging it, what are you supposed to do? Keep your eye? Well, I was slamming that ball without looking at it. All this time I was swinging, nobody told me to look at the ball. That's why I kept missing so many. But when I hit it, that ball went up the court. I said, only if I had kept my eye on the ball. I was a wide receiver, captain of the football team. But I could catch the football no matter how you threw it. But when I got up front, I had another inferiority and I dropped it. One day the coach got upset with me and I was team captain. He said, run out there and catch that ball. I took out. Scott Norman was quarterback. I took out. And he threw it. And I caught it. But when I turned around and came back, coach and the whole team was just like, though I had a little reputation, they weren't going to say much. And the guy came up to me, said, LB, said, what? I said, man, what y'all looking at? They said, man, what is wrong with you? We ain't never seen nobody catch a ball and then look at the football. I just ran. I had no Holy Ghost then and didn't know it. I just ran and stuck my arm out. I didn't even look. And I saw the ball coming over and I jumped over and caught it. And walked back. You see, when you put yourself down, you hinder your gifts and abilities. And you don't realize your capabilities. Your biggest enemy sometimes is yourself. You find out that you could have done it all alone if you just had that zeal to go for it. And now I'm trying to give you that zeal. Be encouraged. You're worth something. Your life is important. Don't worry about the next person. You live the life God has for you. You be important and compliment somebody else. Because somebody else gets blessed doesn't take nothing from you. There's enough room for everybody in the kingdom of God. Right now, shake someone's hand and say, be encouraged. Well, be encouraged here. I will. Be encouraged, son. Be encouraged. Be encouraged. I don't mind saying that. Be encouraged, brother. Be encouraged. Well, be encouraged. I don't mind saying that. Be encouraged, brother. It's all right. Be encouraged. Why are you striving to be encouraged? It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Be encouraged. It's all right. Your life is worth